Hello, good evening. It's News 360 on TV3. I am Portia Gabo.
Good evening to you. I am Noble Crossbian, and the bulletin is live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Let's take a look at the headlines of the bulletin this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank.
Tonight, founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, describes scrapping of delegate system by the Supreme Court as a major win for democracy.
Supreme Court unanimously upholds OSP prosecutorial powers, ruling they do not breach Article 88 of Constitution.
Also coming up, engineers race to restore power after nationwide outage in the early hours of the day.
In business news, energy analyst cites technical failures and underinvestment in Ghana's power distribution for grid faults.
We'll bring you some international news tonight as former top U.S. health official Anthony Fauci refuses to answer questions at U.S. Senate hearing discussing the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome to the program. We're live also, as always, on our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana as we bring you details of these headlines and the latest in the world of business, sports and entertainment. Let's settle for the details.
We begin from the Supreme Court, where a founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has described the scrapping of the delegate system by the Supreme Court as a major win for democracy. Earlier, the Apex Court, in a majority decision of 5-2, declared the delegate system unconstitutional and directed political parties to put measures in place within a year to allow all members in good standing to vote. Lord Idwasari reports.
Former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, veteran politician Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo and former Education Minister Dr. Christina Mwakonyama filed a suit at the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the delegate-based systems used by Ghana's major political parties to elect their presidential and parliamentary candidates. The three plaintiffs were seeking constitutional declarations against the New Patriotic Party, the NDC, and Convention People's Party. They argue that the party's internal electoral arrangements disenfranchise ordinary members and violate the democratic principles entrenched in the 1992 Constitution. In its decision, which was dissented from by Justices Esiedu and Gaiwu, the Supreme Court held that the delegate system creates a limited electoral pool that facilitates money politics. The court indicated that although opening party primaries to all members in good standing would better promote constitutional democracy, it could also increase campaign costs. The director of elections for the NPP, Gary Namakon, was not enthused by the court's decision.
They said everybody should vote.
All members in good standing
should vote. Yeah. Who's going to pay for the cost?
Says it's necessary to promote the.
Who is going to pay for the cost of the elections?
They did admit that it's going to increase the financial burden.
Who's going to pay for the cost of the elections?
Obviously, the political parties.
The political parties? Well, let's wait and see.
NPP founding member and plaintiff in the case, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, expressed satisfaction with the ruling.
If the ruling had been different, that would have been a great worry to me, because I know eventually it would destroy the democracy we are trying to build. Because what is happening now is known to everyone. If you have money, you buy your way. If you don't have the money, you'll get nowhere. So I'm happy that monocracy has been curtailed today by the Supreme Court.
Director of Policy Engagement and Partnerships at CDD Ghana, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, also spoke to the media.
The next step now is they gave them a year. And that's where I think
we, all of us, should engage, and I think civil society should engage. What should be the systems that I really believe that we need to revisit the political parties law, because internal regulation of parties, that leaves it to just the constitution, is not sufficient to guarantee us the things that we want from political parties. So maybe this is a good conversation for all of us to have.
A legal representative of the NDC reacted to the ruling.
We actually argued in support of the writ and the reliefs, and we are happy that the Supreme Court has granted them. The court was clear that within 1 year, all political parties must try to accommodate to this judgment. So let's read the judgment and we'll take it up from there.
The 7-member panel that heard the case comprised Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, Justice Gabriel Skopamang, Justice Isifu Omoro, Justice Tanko Amadu, Justice Samuel Adibu Esiedu, Justice Senyo Jamefe, Justice Ernest Yao Jewu, and Justice Subari Lodidwasari. TV3 News, Accra.
Well, the ruling is already dividing opinions in Parliament. As members of Parliament, they are divided over the Supreme Court's landmark ruling scrapping the political party delegate system. Some argue expanding participation to all registered party members could increase the cost of internal elections and worsen the monetization of party politics. Others believe that the decision will have little practical impact since parties may still limit primaries to their members. There's a report by Christian Yali.
The Supreme Court has made one emphatic ruling that it is unconstitutional to continue to use the party delegate system, but many believe this could rather worsen the vote buying concerns. Members of Parliament have shared split opinions.
Expanding it to make everybody vote will not stop monocracy. In fact, it will increase it. So if it is stopping monocracy, that's why they are doing that. I'm sorry, it's not going to stop monocracy. Unless somebody has not gone for an election. If you've gone for an election, you will know that it's going to get worse.
If we keep saying that we need to increase this because once the number is increased, people won't pay. Look, it will surprise you to know that if somebody wants to pay, that if people are paying, it doesn't matter when it goes to 10,000. They will select those people and pay them.
Politicians and candidates standing for elections would now have to spend money more on communication and on their campaign structures generally, because you are now reaching a much bigger number of people. But what has been obscene, the payment of money to individuals to go and vote for you, which has become almost an acceptable subculture, I think will be addressed by this decision.
Internal politics comes with cost implications. Some ask, was it better with a delegate system, or this expansion of numbers could worsen the cost of organizing internal polls? Or maybe the state could consider public funding for political parties.
If you ask me, I don't think that we need to continue to burden the state with this cost. Allow the person who wants to contest to bear his cost. And that is why the NPP felt that we didn't have to bring the state to this at this time. We don't have to involve the state.
So Zimbabwe, South Africa, all those countries, what they do. You can't do that. We can't do what we do here. As a candidate, you cannot just wake up and start dishing out money and someone will come and say, this candidate gave me. The moment it were to be said that somebody gave you 5,000, it was from this person, that person will be disqualified. And in fact, you can go to jail for it. So I wanted to bring legislation on it. But of course, the Supreme Court has taken the wind out of all of us ourselves.
When people say it's going to be costly, I want to see what are the component elements of the general budget that is making this costly. Is it the setting up of polling stations? We must see, once we know the details, we'll be in a position to suggest how we beat down the cost and how we make this happen.
Let the questions and conversations on this subject matter continue, but what is clear is that Ghana is seeking to solidify its democratic credentials through this landmark ruling by the Supreme Court, which ruling has been questioned and lauded at the same time. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
And the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, has ruled that the powers of the Office of the Special Prosecutor to prosecute do not contravene Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, which empowers the Attorney General with exclusive authority to initiate proceedings in the name of the Republic. The landmark ruling brings to an end the legal challenge over the OSP's prosecutorial powers, which had stalled a number of cases before the courts. Lodido Asare reports.
Private legal practitioner Noah Damte filed a suit seeking declaration that Parliament acted unconstitutionally by establishing the Office of the Special Prosecutor with prosecutorial authority independent of the Attorney General. In his suit, which sought 8 reliefs, the plaintiff argued, among other things, that Article 88 of the Constitution exclusively vests prosecutorial powers in the Attorney General and that Parliament could not, through an ordinary act of Parliament, confer similar powers on another institution without first amending the Constitution. During proceedings, the Attorney General aligned with that constitutional argument, maintaining that prosecutorial powers ought to be subject to the Attorney General's control and supervision rather than being permanently exercised by an autonomous statutory body. Lawyers for the OSP filed a joint application to be added as respondents in the case, but it was dismissed by the Apex Court on the grounds that the existing parties could adequately assist in determining the matter. A 7-member panel of the Supreme Court, presided over by Chief Justice Bafo Boni on Wednesday, July 29, held that the OSP has the authority to independently initiate and prosecute cases. The Apex Court, however, noted that the Attorney General retains the power to enter a nolle prosequi in the case initiated by the OSP, adding that all prosecutions, convictions, and freezing orders secured by the OSP remain valid. Reacting to the ruling, Executive Director of the Transparency International Ghana, Mary Ada, expressed satisfaction.
For us today, it's a clear win. It's a win because it now tells or grants the SSP the relief. It also gives him the opportunity to move beyond all the heckling and all the issues that he's been dealing with over time. Attorney General, as he stands today, or as that office stands today, is bedeviled with a lot of challenges, particularly when it comes to in-regime accountability still remain. And so who else to do that but to have an office that is dedicated to do so?
Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai also spoke to the media.
The AG can now discontinue cases started by the...
No, but that has always been our position, so...
The decision of the Supreme Court paves the way for cases such as that of former NPA boss Mustafa Hamid and former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Attah's SML matter to continue. Lodido Asare, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the court, engineers are racing to restore power after a nationwide outage. In the early hours of Wednesday, July 29, electricity supply has meanwhile been restored to some areas of the country. Well, the blackout affected several parts of the country, and according to the Ghana Grid Company Limited, it was caused by a disturbance on the National Interconnected Transmission System. And that happened at about 3:11 a.m. on Wednesday, July 29. This resulted in the simultaneous shutdown of some power generation plants in the country. Now, let's engage with Richmond Roxing. He is a spokesperson and head of the Communications Department at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Richmond, thank you so much for joining us. Good evening to you. How far have engineers gone to restoring power across the country?
Thank you, Cosby. Good evening to you and good evening to your cherished listeners. Significant progress has been made since the incident happened around 3:11 a.m. Since 3:11, we had significant parts of this country being off. But as we speak, I can confirm to you that most areas have had their power supply restored. And the engineers are still working tirelessly to ensure that every customer across the country has power supply in the next couple of hours. And so we've made progress. What happened was a serious system disturbance. And when it comes to the restoration process, you have to do it systematically.
Okay.
Because if you're not cautious, you end up causing further damage. And we shouldn't compromise safety and security of our power installations for the power supply that we want. And so the engineers are working. The transmission is back, but rest assured that customers will get full power supply to their homes and their offices.
Right. And Richmond, if you say significant, do we know a certain percentage we can put to this? As in, what percentage of the country has power restored and which areas are still without electricity as we speak, if you know?
Well, if you look at Greater Accra, most places have power supply. Myself and the team, we've moved around the airport residential areas, gone to East Legon, part of Nima, part of Bumblebee. All these areas have power supply. There are few areas that have not been fully, it's been done partially. So if you look at the areas around the Chasako areas, we look at the Malam Paswa areas, we look at parts of Pukwasi, parts of Lakeside, those areas haven't had power supply. But being that it's not
okay.
Ensure that it's safe before you can restore, and that's what the engineers are doing.
Now, Gridco says that the outage followed a disturbance on the transmission system. And of course, all of us, we're interested in knowing what exactly went wrong at 3:11 a.m.
Preliminary information that has been provided by the engineers at Gridco, which I'm sure subsequently they are going to confirm in the press release, that was caused by lightning near the lines. And because they've gone around the lines, they've done thorough assessments of it, and then no damage to it. So it was caused by lightning. You know, it's been raining this part of the morning from around 1 a.m. It had been raining all throughout the morning to about 6:70 in some areas. And so preliminary, that's the information they provided. But the engineers are still working to ascertain that, and I'm sure that the next couple of hours they'll put out a statement to give of what the cause of this outage.
And thank you for letting us know. But it leads me to my next question on what safeguards are being introduced to prevent one system fault or to prevent what happened this morning that has affected the entire country from happening again. You're telling us it's from lightning as a result of the rain.
When you have we have such occurrence that is affecting the national interconnection transmission system, there is minimal thing that you can do. But it's not a matter of one power plant going off and another also going off. There's enough security in place. But when you have some of these things caused by natural disasters like lightning, it's very minimal that you can do within the period. But if you look at even the statistics across Africa, Ghana's transmission system is a very robust one.
Okay.
It's rated around 99.5%, and so it's very robust. But once they're using systems from time to time, these things will happen.
And Richmond, I know I said that would be my last question, but energy sector watchers are now saying that what happened this morning is both technical and as a result of years of underinvestment in the distribution system. Is this something you'll corroborate?
So this is completely false. You're talking about transmission system, so those who are talking about distribution do not have the full appreciation of how the power systems, the chain works. Distribution is completely different from transmission system. But like I mentioned earlier, our transmission system is one of them, very robust when you do the data analysis in that. And it's around 90%. So it has nothing to do with distribution.
Thank you. Richmond Roxon, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Richmond speaks for the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition there.
In more news tonight, the chairman of the Vice Chancellor's Ghana, Professor Richard Amankwa, has called for a more balanced conversation on claims that university programs do not meet demands of the job markets. Speaking on the sidelines of the Vice Chancellor's Ghana Conference on Higher Education in Accra, he said that while concerns about graduate employability are valid, it is inaccurate to suggest that all university programs are disconnected from industry needs.
The relevance of university education to the changing job market remains a major topic in the higher education sector. Speaking on the sidelines of the Vice Chancellor's Ghana Conference on Higher Education in Accra, Chairman of Vice Chancellor's Ghana, Professor Richard Amankwa, indicated that the issue should not be viewed as a blanket failure of the university system. Instead, he stressed the need for continuous assessment of academic programs to ensure they remain relevant to the evolving needs of industry and national development.
Certainly, it is not every program that we run in the university that will meet some conditions in the job market. I come from the University of Mines and Technology, and we train people not only to acquire certificates, but also to get skills for the minerals and allied industry. So from where we are sitting, I can say that our programs really meet the job market. People are not trained in the university directly for specific industries. So when you employ a graduate, the first thing to do is to train the person to fit into your job space.
The conference brought together vice chancellors and educational leaders from across West Africa to discuss the future of higher education and how universities can embrace technology, strengthen digital infrastructure, and ensure graduates are equipped with skills that meet the demands of the modern job market.
We have to have this conversation to look at the policy direction in terms of educational leadership and transformation, and how this digital infrastructure and knowledge can be pushed to the next level as far as Ghana and the West African sub-region is concerned.
Executive Secretary of the Vice Chancellor's Ghana, Dr. Sena Kpeglo Freku, said the rapid pace of technological advancement makes it necessary for institutions to constantly review their approaches to teaching and learning.
We know the strategies are there, the AI and all these things that they are including, but we want to look at the specific policies that institutions have in incorporating AI into their teaching and learning.
Now, the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has declared a zero-tolerance policy against indiscipline and criminal conduct in schools, urging educators to enforce discipline while promoting strong moral values among students. He made the remarks at the National Conference on Stemming the Growing Indiscipline in Schools held in Sunyani. This is a report by Claude Kumiabisa.
A number of attacks by students in some senior high schools against fellow students and teachers have sparked widespread concern about growing indiscipline. This has renewed debate over the ban on corporal punishment in schools and whether it has contributed to rising indiscipline. Addressing participants at the National Conference on Stemming the Growing Indiscipline in Schools in Sunyani, the Minister of Education challenged stakeholders to reflect on whether corporal punishment should be reintroduced as part of efforts to address the problem.
I simply could have reduced my speech as I intend to a question. Should we reintroduce corporal punishment? So President Mahama, Minister Haruna Idrisu, Director General Education, in search of answers to this question. Today, you have my authority and support, and that of the President and the state, to declare zero tolerance for Suman Pony. You have no excuse not to let it work, and you have our full support to make it work.
The minister further stressed that the greater priority is rebuilding the moral foundation of young people through values such as honesty, integrity, responsibility, punctuality, and hard work. The moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Right Reverend Dr. Abraham Nana Oparikwachi, called for a renewed national commitment to restoring discipline in schools.
The issue of discipline requires very, very important. The church therefore supports all good approaches that would restore school discipline to our school.
Bono Regional Minister Joseph Adai Akwabwa called on stakeholders to make the conference a turning point in restoring discipline and rebuilding public confidence in Ghana's education system. Claude Kumi Abisa, TV3 News, Sunyani.
The National Labour Commission has revealed that it handled more than 13,000 labour-related cases between April 2005 and December 2025, with a significant number involving dismissals and unfair terminations in both public and private sectors. The Commission says the figures point to persistent violations of Ghana's labor laws, particularly by employers who continue to terminate workers' employment without following the due process outlined in the Labour Act 2003, Act 651.
The Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Dr. Bernice Welbeck, disclosed the figures while reflecting on the Commission's 20 years of promoting industrial harmony and resolving labor disputes. According to her, for the period spanning 2020 to 2025, the Commission recorded a total of 2,778 labor-related cases, including 336 dismissals and 973 cases of unfair termination.
Total number of cases recorded from April 2005 to December 2025. The Commission handled a total of 13,113 complaints.
Dr. Welbeck expressed concern over what she described as the abuse of employers' right to hire and fire, saying many workers continue to lose their jobs without due regard for the Labour Act 2003, Act 651.
In the contract of employment, it has actually, or a collective agreement, they have stated grounds for termination of employment. Yet the employer goes to trigger notice only to terminate.
Now, the Ghana AI Summit and Awards is taking off in Accra, bringing together policymakers, innovators, and industry leaders to explore how artificial intelligence can accelerate Ghana's digital transformation. The two-day event is expected to strengthen the country's AI ecosystem through collaborating, innovation, and skills development.
Continues to position itself as one of Africa's emerging AI hubs following the launch of its national artificial intelligence strategy. Building on that momentum, the Ghana AI Summit and Awards brought together stakeholders to discuss the practical application of artificial intelligence across various sectors of the economy. Dr. Kwame Ahiabenu is the chair of the Ghana AI Summit.
So last year we planted the seed with the first AI Summit, and we are building on this. And the whole goal is to ensure, as a country, businesses operating, organizations operating in Ghana, how can we ensure that we are on top of the AI game in terms of usage, in terms of ensuring that the implications of AI, job gain, job losses are all infused in the ecosystem.
Beyond the conversations, Dr. Ashley Milton says there are several untapped potentials that artificial intelligence presents.
AI is not necessarily replacing jobs, right? I think what it is expanding the workforce, especially if we adopt it correctly. So just because you bring AI into your company doesn't mean that you're doing so to kind of cut back. It means that you want to grow in a more evolutionary way. And in Africa, since we haven't really gone through a lot of revolutions, this is a revolution that I feel like we can adopt and really expand our enterprise and our footprint.
The Vice President for Africa, Middle East and Turkey at Meta, Kojo Boakye, says a major priority is ensuring young people are equipped to develop AI solutions that address local challenges and compete in the global digital economy.
What we're seeing around the world is an encouragement of young people to use AI, to understand that this is the future. How can we ensure that young people are digitally literate enough to be able to use AI to enhance the things they do in terms of creativity, in terms of education, in terms, for many young people here, finding work. And I think the onus should be on how do we put AI into the hands of young people. How do we give them the sufficient training to ensure that they can extract the very, very best of AI? And that's something that Meta is extremely focused on.
The event concludes on Thursday, July 30, with the Ghana AI Awards.
Access Bank Ghana has partnered with the United Nations Population Fund to strengthen efforts to eliminate obstetric fistula in Ghana. The partnership seeks to mobilize resources to support life-changing surgeries, create awareness, and improve the lives of women living with a childbirth injury.
Thousands of women living with obstetric fistula. The condition goes beyond physical pain. It often leaves survivors battling stigma, isolation, and emotional trauma. In a renewed effort to restore hope and dignity, Access Bank Ghana and the United Nations Population Fund (UNFPA) have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at expanding support for fistula treatment and prevention across the country.
The idea of the partnership really is to accelerate the progress of doing fistula repairs.
Here in Ghana, about 700 to 1,200 women actually do get fistula as a result of giving birth. As you know, fistula is really a birth-related injury. And therefore, those estimations, as time go by, if repairs are not done on time, it leads to a backlog.
Axis Bank says the initiative forms part of its broader sustainability and corporate social responsibility agenda, which focuses on improving healthcare outcomes and supporting vulnerable communities.
Women constitute the larger portion of our society, and they suffer all kinds of challenges. And we really cannot continue this way. I mean, having known the challenges that they suffer, especially in this area, we thought that inaction is not an option. So as a bank, we've galvanized our staff, galvanized all the resources that we can muster to provide support for women who have these challenges.
The collaboration is expected to strengthen ongoing national efforts to ensure more women receive timely treatment while helping to prevent future cases through education and improved maternal health care services. Let's now take a look at how the weather situation will be like for parts of the country within the next 12 to 24 hours.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
Ghana Grid Company Limited, GridCo, several power plants across the country were forced to shut down. Executive Director of Africa Sustainable Energy Center, ISEC, Engineer Justice Ohene Akutu blames the lack of technical foresight.
Most of the time, we try to shield responsibility to investment, but I also believe there's a technical bit of it. But then from a subject matter expert point of view, when you see a system collapse completely, most of the time it will be as a result of the frequency. When we go above or below our threshold, that is when you usually get like a total system collapse.
Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE, Benjamin Nsia, observes years of lack of infrastructure prioritization.
The lack of infrastructure support for the company is the reason why we are experiencing this particular challenge. And surprisingly, GridCo could not even determine what actually caused this challenge in its initial stage. We've realized that they are resolving it, but it is likely going to happen again if you don't put the necessary resources or allocating necessary capital resources to revamp and revitalize this particular infrastructure for reliable power supply.
Engineer Ohene Akutu urges GridCo to tell the nation what actually happened, come up with a backup plan to make the system resilient, and explain what lessons have been learned from previous grid collapses.
To give us a roadmap that from today, if there's any, what are they going to do to have a preventive maintenance? I mean, most of the time we are reactional. To have a preventive maintenance to make sure we don't have a system collapse again. And even if it should happen, what is the measures to give us back a restoration plan within seconds or minutes?
The power cut has left homes, businesses and essential services without electricity across multiple regions of the country.
The Bank of Ghana has revealed the Monetary Policy Committee unanimously voted to maintain the policy rate at 17%, with all 7 members led by Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama. Overall, the committee cited persistent inflation risk and heightened global uncertainty as reasons for keeping borrowing costs unchanged despite improving macroeconomic conditions.
According to the minutes, members agreed that while Ghana's macroeconomic indicators continue to improve, the recent increase in headline and core inflation, coupled with external risks, warrants a cautious policy approach. The committee noted that easing monetary policy too soon could undermine progress in restoring price stability and fuel inflation expectations, while raising rates could weaken credit growth and slow the pace of economic recovery. Members therefore adopted what they described as a wait-and-see approach, choosing to monitor incoming inflation data and developments in the global economy before considering any policy adjustment. The MPC had earlier announced that uncertainty surrounding the inflation outlook and geopolitical tensions in the Middle East informed its decision to leave the benchmark policy rate unchanged at 14%.
Mantra Ghana has unveiled new financial partnerships with 5 leading banks aimed at improving access to financing for businesses investing in heavy equipment. The initiative brings together EcoBank, Absa Bank, Fidelity Bank, Access Bank, and Stanbic Bank to offer customers more flexible financing options, including competitive interest rates and extended repayment periods.
Mantra Ghana says the partnerships are expected to reduce the financial burden associated with purchasing capital-intensive equipment while supporting economic growth and the government's infrastructure agenda.
We've partnered with EcoBank, Absa Bank, Fidelity Bank and Access Bank, as well as Stanbic Bank. We have an agreement with them such that they have reduced rate and extended tenor. We do understand that when it comes to financing these equipment, they can be capital intensive, and so there's that flexibility to customers as well.
Beyond financing, Mantra Ghana also used the event to engage customers and introduce its Service Commitment 2.0, designed to improve after-sales support. Partner institution Absa Bank Ghana says the collaboration reinforces its commitment to supporting businesses with tailored financial solutions.
We've been banking with Mantrak for over 50 years and we've been supporting Mantrak customers. This is the first time Mantrak has brought together 5 banks to do this. But for us, this is not new and we are committed to the development of our customers and also the economy.
Some customers gave their testimonials.
You never try, you never know. But I can assure you, Mantrak has been a faithful friend for the past 20 years.
The partnership is expected to improve access to equipment financing, helping businesses expand operations while strengthening productivity across key sectors of Ghana's economy.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Win big with Gino at Chedia Soko. Buy any promo pack of Gino Tomato Mix, Gino Pepper and Onion or Gino Jollof Tomato.
2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a 2-0 win over Cape Verde. Forward Doris Berdua put the team ahead before an own goal in the second half from Cape Verdean defender Vieira sealed the victory for Kimla Circagren's men. The following report has more details.
Of Ghana started off their 2026 WAFCON campaign in Group D on a positive note after winning 2-0 against tournament debutant Cape Verde. Doris Berdua scored in the 7th minute of the game before Cape Verde player Vieira headed off from a Chantal Boy Holoka cross to give Ghana the second goal. Even though Cape Verde were reduced to 10 men later on in the game, it did not change the result of the game. So for Ghana, moving into the second game with a lot of positives, 3 points and then 2 goals to their advantage. Meanwhile, Coach Kimla's Bjorkegren gave players like Benedict Simon, Sharon Sampson, Anoma Opoku, Linda Owusu-Ansah their debut in this particular tournament. Remember, Black Queens are in Group D with Cape Verde, Cameroon and Mali, and we'll be hoping that they are one of the 2 teams that qualify from the group stage into the quarterfinals, because Coach Kimla's Bjorkegren has already made it known that 2 of the major victories for the team in this particular tournament will be to qualify to the semifinals, which gives them an automatic qualification to the World Cup and possibly land their hands on the trophy that has eluded the Black Queens ever since their participation in this particular tournament. Remember, Mali and Cameroon will be playing later on, and the results of their game will be crucial to how Ghana would have to manage their remaining games going forward in this particular competition.
And so moving on, ahead of Ghana's second group game against Burkina Faso at the ongoing WAFU B Under-20 Men's Championship, Black Satellite head coach Maxwell Konadu says the team is ready for the encounter. Konadu's comment comes after Ghana lost 4-2 against Nigeria in their opening game.
We also spoke about how to defend very well, especially under intense pressure. You know, most of the guys are new to this tournament, and some were like a bit jittery. But we have worked on them psychologically. And the physical aspects, most of them has recovered and are ready to meet Burkina tomorrow.
Well, let's do some more here on the sports segment on News 360 as Ghanaian sprinter Joseph Paul Amoah says that he is eyeing a podium finish after advancing to the 200-meter semi-final of the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Amoah posted a time of 20.36 seconds to finish first in his heat, while James Darcy and then Mustafa Bokpin are also expected to line up in the semi-finals of the event.
It was good. I want to take every race, every round as it comes. So I wanted to make sure I come out here and try to put myself in a good position going into the semi-finals and go back, get some good rest, and come back tomorrow. We are all going to, execute our races. We're here to do our best, and hopefully our best is good enough for some podium and stuff. So yeah, we're all wishing for at least a podium finish. But it happens in track and field. In every sport, it happens. He's had a very tough season, getting injured at African champs and all that stuff. So we are even happy and grateful to have him competing here and making it to the finals. God being so good, he's not injured, and we'll get it for the relay as well. So we are happy about that. That was very early in the season, and we go into every race hoping for the best. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Our competitors train as hard as we do, so when we come out here to compete and it doesn't go how we want it, it's because maybe our competitors were the better guys on that day. So African champs, 4 months ago? It's July, so I'm just looking forward to what's coming.
We'll be bringing you updates of the finals and more on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
efforts to combat perennial flooding and illegal mining, which is Galamsey, saying both issues continue to threaten lives, livelihoods, and the environment.
Get to you press.
Ras Kuku, affectionately called Ghetto Youth President, said the administration has made progress in stabilizing key economic indicators such as the exchange rate and fuel prices.
I see the people now, they don't talk about the dollar again, fuel prices and things. I see people don't talk about it. That means he's doing well. He's somebody who listens. He listens a lot.
The war hitmaker added that Mohammed's responsiveness to citizens distinguishes him from other leaders, ranking him among Ghana's best presidents.
Me, I choose Kwame Nkrumah as overall, and then I choose him, and I choose JJ. Yeah, because he listens to the people. He's calm. When the flood happened, he didn't just walk. He went up there, surveyed. Me, today, if I want to talk to him, there are two things I want him to work on. The flood of Ghana.
Ras Kuku said if given a minute with the president, he would focus on flooding and Galamsey. He called for long-term measures to address annual flooding, especially in Accra, including clearing structures on waterways and expanding drainage systems.
All the houses on the waterways must be taken off. Concrete, set it up. Secondly, the Galamsey thing. SAO.
On Galamsey, Ras Kuku described it as a major environmental threat, citing destruction of forests and water bodies.
I plead with him. I know only me 50-60% poor, with me some percentage, but all stop on also. I'm pleading with him that we get something for the Galamseyers. Government ankasa, and in the government ankasa any mining company like a befanko for ankasa no maye juma. Thank you. So that our people, like we take away all those days, we cannot make them go house.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you so much, Noella. On the international front, former top U.S. health official Anthony Fauci has refused to answer questions at a U.S. Senate hearing discussing the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, saying he feared Republicans would try to use his testimony to prosecute him for perjury. He invoked the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which says no individual can be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself.
Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo says a Rwandan armed group operating in the eastern part of the country had signed a protocol committing to disarmament, but Rwanda rejected the move as inconsistent with the U.S. brokered peace agreement between the two countries. DR Congo's government said the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, a group founded by ethnic Hutu fighters, including some linked to the perpetrators of the 1994 Rwandan genocide, had signed a protocol on disarmament, demobilizing, and cantonment. That's our package for you tonight, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Noble Crosby Allen.
And I am Portia Gabodu. Join Alfredo Kansa at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.